Hey guys, thanks for checking out this quick breakdown of the new CINECOLOR film engine tool for Final Cut Pro. We're so excited about this, and it's really unlike anything that we've put out or anyone else has put out to date for that matter. It's a way for you to really have an infinite amount of creative looks and film-like color palettes at your fingertips in a non-destructive way, where you're going to be able to take sliders, move them around in any direction, and get all these different looks that you can dial up or down to taste without ever compromising the integrity of your raw footage or your image quality. So we're going to start here by grabbing the effect. Once it's installed, you'll just find it right here in the subfolder CineColor in your effects browser, and we're going to drag it onto the clip. And right away, you're not going to notice any initial effect because all the sliders are set to 0. But we're going to go through each of these one by one. Normally, I wouldn't put them all to 100% just for my own personal taste, but I'm going to do that today just to show you that, again, this is non-destructive and you can max these out and your image is still going to look great. It's just going to have a different look than if you use a different array of settings here. So let's start with film tone. I'm going to take this slider, dial it all the way up, and you can see right away that's increasing the image density of this shot. It's lifting the shadows, doing some highlight roll off, making the midtones a little bit more crushed and adding some contrast in that area. And that gives us right off the bat a much more filmic kind of curve. So this is kind of the max that you're going to push it to. Next, you have color balance. This footage was actually shot on Alexa 35, so luckily it doesn't need a ton of color balancing. But for footage shot on DSLRs or mirrorless cameras, you might want to crank this up quite a bit because this is going to add a lot more color contrast and color separation to the image to really help your colors pop. The next setting here is the 85 filter. And by turning this up, you're going to warm up your image significantly. So this is going to be like you had a real optical filter on film stock, and it's going to give you that kind of warm, organic analog feel. And then here we have shadow clean, which is one of my favorite settings. This simultaneously increases the weight and density of the shadows while desaturating the shadow levels. So this is going to give you really clean blacks and just a really punchy, clean kind of finished look before you export your final master. Here we have color fade. As the name suggests, that's applying some selective saturation to kind of age the footage a little bit. This is good if you're going for more of a vintage film look, or if you want to just do a more muted color palette because that's your aesthetic. You can crank that all the way up to or halfway or whatever you think looks good for your personal taste. And then here, the push process setting is going to emulate a traditional push process with analog film where the film's actually sitting longer in the bath and it's going to be exposed another 1 to 2 stops. So you can crank that all the way up. That will simultaneously increase some of the exposure without overexposing your image. So it's going to kind of brighten the highlights, but it's going to maintain the integrity of the shadows and the midtones. And it will also reduce selectively some of the saturation just to be true to the original push process analog method. And then finally, we have halation here, which you're not going to see a ton of on this image because there's not a lot of blown out highlights other than up here, maybe on the light here. You can see a little bit of halation, but we'll turn this all the way up anyways. This is going to just help your highlights bloom. So if you have an image where there are some blown out windows or something in the background, it will help create more of a filmic glow as opposed to that digital sharpness where the highlights just kind of cut off. And you could see right here, I'll turn this on and off. Again, this is maxed out, probably more of an extreme aesthetic than I might be going for on an average project, but it's still a cool look. If you're going for something that's a little bit more kind of muted and stylized and aged, we'll turn that off just to see how far that we've actually come with it. Turn it back on. And then the next thing I want to show you is how we can take any of these individual sliders and just pull one down and then immediately create another look. So let's say color fade, for example. I'm going to take this and just bring it down to 0. And we'll undo that. You can see just with that one setting changed, we have a totally different look. Now maybe I look at this and I like it, but I think it's a little too warm. So I'm going to take my 85 filter and I'm going to bring that back down to 0. There's another look. This one is going to skew a little bit magenta because of the properties of the Alexa 35 footage and the fact that we've cranked the color balance way up. So we might want to turn the color balance back down on this one. So now let's turn this on and off. And now that's a really interesting filmic, kind of subtle but muted color palette that personally I like a lot. But again, there's an infinite amount of ways that you can adjust these sliders and just push them around. And it's like having 1,000 different LUTs in one tool that you can completely customize to taste in record time. It's just a matter of pulling these sliders up and down, deciding what you like and what your shot needs, and getting that final look faster and easier than ever. So that's essentially it for the main tools. We also threw in this fun little negative checkbox. So if you ever want a negative film look, you can just click that on and off and it'll turn your footage into a negative. Sometimes that's fun for a quick flashback or a flash frame, maybe a music video effect. There's all sorts of different use cases for it, but most of the time you're probably going to be using these sliders and just trying to get that really organic filmic look without ever impacting your image in a negative way. So really hope you guys enjoyed this and put this to use. Again, this is one of the most exciting tools that we've put out here at CINECOLOR, and we think you're all really going to enjoy it. So definitely test it out. You can get it at cinecolor.io. The link is also going to be in the description for this video. So go test it out today. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you again soon with another breakdown.